Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I do have another watercolor painting for you guys, and as you can see in the beginning, I'm gesturing to my piece of paper, and the reason being is because I accidentally left my printed sketch still taped to the back of my watercolor paper because I forgot to take it off when I was transferring the pencil lines. So I'm showing you guys what the initial sketch looked like on my iPad, as I did the rough and everything on my iPad to begin with before I printed it onto printer paper and then transferred the sketch to the watercolor paper. So I apologize about the lighting in this video. It is going to be quite inconsistent because the clouds on the day that I was filming this were having a field day and kept changing basically the lighting from really light to really dark to really light to really dark. So near towards the later half of the video, it will be more consistent, but it will be kind of this weird, kind of cool, sterile light because I am using the artificial lights when painting the rest of this painting. So I'm using a big assortment of different brushes because I actually wasn't planning on painting this large. As you can see, this is double the size that I've been painting on recently. I used to paint quite large in the past. I usually painted on 11 by 15, or like when I was back in uni, I painted on 24 by 36, or I guess double that would be 24 by 72 I've done as well. So yeah, I painted big paintings in the past, but I decided to size up for this one just because I thought it'd be more fun to paint the figure. I guess I was more excited to paint Mingyu more than anything. I do like painting foliage for the most part, but I like painting figures. That's the thing for me. I love painting faces. I like doing portraits and all that. So I definitely wanted to size up just because I could put a little bit more detail in his hair, his face, and etc. So I cut this out of the video, but I actually put a kind of a clean a clean wet wash over the entire painting before laying out this bluish color on the right side and this kind of faded yellow, pale yellow, I guess, on the left side. And the reason being is because I wanted to have more of a seamless transition between the two colors, and I wanted to keep everything fairly light for the first pass. Now, I didn't really plan this out very well. This pass pretty much is like near the center of it. It's like fairly much untouched, and that wasn't what I was going to be planning for because in my original composition and like color comp, it was a lot darker. I was planning on having a muted, cooler, dark green kind of thing going on in the background, and everything else would be just like darker and darker except for like Mingyu's outfit, which is gonna be like flowy and translucent. I was gonna have it a little bit of a lighter green, and I thought having a darker background would have made it easier for me to make his outfit look more transparent or translucent. But I kind of throw that idea out the window because I actually keep everything fairly light until like the stuff in the foreground, as well as like kind of his outfit and everything. I definitely preferred the end result of my watercolor painting compared to my first color comp that I did on the iPad. I definitely think it fits the mood a little bit better. So I guess that's a plus. And I'm thinking about, okay, I can't speak today. I'm thinking about what else I can talk about. I feel like I've been talking like non-stop for the last hour just because I actually filmed twice in a row, about just over half of this video, twice with voiceovers, just because the first time I recorded audio, my editing program just crashes. So the voiceover method that I have is that the program has a voice recording kind of tool so that the video will play and you can voice record like while it's playing, and it's just a lot easier compared to my old method of opening up like Audacity, I think, and having to overlay the audio afterwards. But this is a lot easier, but because of that I lost the entire audio footage or audio recording because it crashed. So I tried filming it again, and then that next is like, I just bit my tongue. The next thing I know is that I didn't press record for the second time, so I recorded another like 17-18 minutes of me talking, and it never recorded, which is kind of make me having like, it's making me have more anxiety. I think my brain is just thinking a lot faster than I can speak, so like my grammar's off. I just bit my tongue, and I don't know, my brain's just, it's not gonna start working soon. Okay, let me try to backtrack so I can think about what did I talk about in terms of this piece. I think I was talking about creative liberties again. I feel like I'm just less excited now because I already spazzed twice about the video, but I'll try to bring back that energy. So I don't think I mentioned this quite yet. If you want to watch the full version sped up as a speed paint without me talking, it'll be linked down below as an unlisted video, just because I know some people have a different preference, and sometimes it's just nice to see a condensed version of this painting. So yeah, because these videos are quite long, so I know some people either don't have the attention span to keep sitting and watching for over half an hour, or they just prefer or don't have time to watch such a long video. So a more condensed version might be more of a better option for you guys. Okay, another thing I talked about was the idea that layering. So I was layering his hair a little bit differently. So his hair is actually a reddish brown color, and I decided to start off with this kind of golden orange color starting from the left, and I started to add a little bit more of a reddish color towards the right side, just because I wanted to have the right side to be a lot darker compared to the left side, and I'm gonna slowly add more layers to his hair to get the desired color that I would like. And I think his hair is like one of the parts that I really enjoyed painting. I love, like, to be honest, I could have left his hair like that and I would have been okay with it, just because I love that clean, crisp side of like on the left, and I kind of like the right side where it's kind of like, you can see where it kind of bloomed and it's kind of like trying to overlap. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a lot of water in one area is pushing the pigments to the edges. I still like it. I do about like, I think 3 to 4 passes for his hair, so this is still pass number 1 in terms of painting. While the water is still wet, I started to add a little bit more of that reddish color into his hair, so you can see it kind of helps indicate where his hair and the shine kind of curves on his scalp, kind of towards the back. Okay, so to get my brain back in order, let's talk about Minghao, or 17's The8. So I'm going to be referring him as Minghao or The8 or Hao in this video. It's just how my brain works, and I call him all 3 names whenever I speak about this person. So in other videos, I might have referred him to Hao, like H-A-O, or Minghao, or The8. So if you guys are really interested in kind of like contemporary art or visual arts or performing arts, I definitely highly recommend you guys watch the video linked in the description. It'll be of his contemporary art performance video that he did, and it's beautifully shot. First of all, his outfit's super beautiful. I painted to the best of my ability his outfit, at least his top, which is like, he's wearing this black tank top and this really flowy green, kind of like a cardigan, but it's like translucent. I love translucent kind of flowy fabric on Minghao, especially because he's very like fluid and agile and elegant, and this is like, it kind of just fits his whole, like, I don't know, his aesthetic, or his like the way he portrays. I don't know how to explain it. It's stunningly beautiful, so I definitely highly recommend you guys go watch it. It's just beautifully shot. He does beautiful movements, and like the music is really well done. I don't remember what the instrument's called, but it's like that Chinese instrument you play with your fingers, and it's like a long board thing with many strings. I don't know how to explain it. I used to know what it's called because I had a friend who played it. But back to the painting. So this is kind of where I kind of strayed away. I can't speak. This is kind of where I strayed away from the color comp that I had on my iPad. I just really need to slow down and talk. I won't run my mouth like full speed ahead while my brain's trying to catch up. Okay, So basically I added this dark green to the background, and because I was a little bit lazy to fully clean my brush and fade out the color seamlessly back into the yellow on the left side, I decided to use the excess paint on my brush and do kind of like these really light indications of foliage in the background. And I actually really liked how this looked, and this kind of turns the piece from potentially being really dark to something a lot more delicate and a lot lighter. So I'm actually really glad I did this. Thanks for my laziness, I guess. So I'm adding more to the right side just because it worked really nicely on the left side, or at least like part of the indication of like foliage and stuff. And for like the most part, I'm kind of like switching between like the figures. So I'm painting like Minghao's skin again while I let the background dry a little bit more. And in between kind of like larger layers or larger washes, I am gonna like whip out my hairdryer and just blow dry these areas just to quickly dry it and make sure that they dry flat so that I don't have troubles like painting, because if it's all like weirdly bubbling up or like beveling in certain areas, it's hard to get nice marks, I guess, in terms of painting sometimes. So I kind of want it to dry flat again. So whipped out the hairdryer, make sure it's dry, and it helps me work a lot faster. So this piece took about, I think it's like under 4 hours, so around 3 hours and like 40 minutes, 50 minutes or something, according to the footage. There is a little bit of dry time in between, so yeah. But I'm sure if I didn't whip out the hairdryer, it would have been easily 5 to 6 hours, because it would have been a lot of me just like waiting. So I probably would have went and done something else, came back to paint. But yeah, so after I finished doing kind of like the base layers of majority of his skin, and I kind of built up his face to a point where I don't hate it, because usually when I'm painting the face, especially on this paper, it comes out pretty patchy, but I was able to get fairly consistent and not too patchy of skin, so I decided to go ahead and work on his outfit. Now, I kind of wanted to do watercolor for this piece, just because the whole entire concept, as well as his outfit and what I was trying to go for, fit watercolor more nicely compared to digital. So for me, digital comes off a little bit too hard hitting and a little bit too like flat. Like it's just like, for me at least, like it's like flat bold colors that are a little bit more like solid, and the idea of like transparency and lightness and like the subtle like gradations or anything like that just comes out better and a lot more natural in watercolor. And I did have confidence that I could achieve this just because I did kind of render a little bit of translucent translucent fabric in my other Mingyu piece, or The8 piece, the one with the blue one with kind of like these white flowers coming from like the right side of his neck. So I know I could paint this. It's just whether or not I could execute it nicely in the way that I wanted it to look like. So I did do his skin first, and then after that I decided to layer a green. And then I kind of laid out these clothing folds on his sleeves. And then after that, I just didn't like how harsh they looked. So I decided to wet my brush again and kind of like fade them out. And it kind of gave this translucent look already. So that was kind of nice. And I decided that I'll just have to keep building up value to get those darker areas and trying to maintain the kind of like beige-ish, peaches, beige-ish, peach-ish colors on his like shoulders to his like the top part of his arm, just because that's where I think most of the skin color would be showing compared to the rest of the fabric. So now I'm adding more of a kind of like purpley blue to the right side of his neck, just to indicate a more of a cooler, deeper shadow, just because the right side is supposed to be darker than the left side in this composition in color comp. So that's what I am doing. I feel like I have I feel like I have nothing to talk about anymore, just because like I've already been to this point and I've already watched this like 2 to 3 times already, so my brain's like running low on energy and I'm probably gonna lose my voice after this. Oh, that's another thing I could talk about. So I think I mentioned this in other previous videos that because I do a lot of 17 fan art and all of them have brown eyes, it's kind of like a given. So all of them have brown eyes. So usually whenever I do any kind of fan art for them, I will change their eye colors to fit more with the overall color scheme. I just think it's more fun that way. Obviously, if I'm doing kind of a realistic portrait, I guess, or no, I don't want to like stray too far away from the reference, I probably will give them just brown eyes, like just normally, and I usually do that for commissions. So if you commission me to draw Ming Hao for like an art piece or something and you give me a reference, I will most likely do like brown eyes, maybe with a little bit of indication of color. But for these kinds of fan art, I like to match the eyes to the color palette that I've chosen. So in this case, because of his skin and his hair are very warm, I decided to add a kind of this warm yellow to the base of his eye, and then after that I started to build up by adding kind of more of this kind of yellowish sap green color all the way to the top until I get to the outlines of his eyes. So the outline of his eyes are just dark green, and I thought it just matched nicely because I will be building up a lot of the foliage later and it'll fit a lot nicely. And a lot nicely? Is my brain like malfunctioning now? Like I don't understand grammar anymore. I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm adding more foliage just to deepen up the sense of depth a little bit. So, because I know I want to make the foliage in the front really dark just to pop out, because I think the plant that I have on the right side will actually be in front of Ming Hao's arm, I think. Yes, that's what I have. I have the painting next to me or like behind me on my shelf. But yeah, so I have that plant in front, as well as the plants on the left that are darker kind of overlap with part of his arm. So I kind of want these to be pushed forward. So I'm kind of like slowly layering up the other foliage in the back just to create a little bit more depth. I just find it a lot more interesting, and it was a lot more fun for me to paint more foliage in the back, because in the original sketch I actually had nothing else in the background. It was just gonna be more of a gradation in the back from kind of a lighter bluish green to a darker bluish green, and then the back will have this kind of faded infinity symbol with the Chinese character that is the title of his performance video. But I decided that foliage probably would have fit better, and yeah. So I'm mixing a bunch of different greens together. I'm darkening my greens by adding a little bit more of like phthalo blue, and if I want to neutralize it a little bit, I will add a little bit of my alizarin crimson, like just a very tiny smidge of alizarin crimson to make it a little bit more neutralized. And yeah, I used yellow ochre to make it a little bit more warmer in some areas, and I kind of just paint the general shape of the leaves first, and then we'll be darkening it a little bit and then adding line art afterwards. So now I'm darkening his outfit. So for the most part, his outfit is translucent. Pretty much the whole fabric is translucent, but because he's wearing a black tank top underneath, there are some darker areas. So other than his like shoulders and arms being exposed, everything else is kind of covered from like that black tank top. So near towards his chest area or like towards the center of his body, it will be darker just because there's that black fabric underneath the translucent green. So I'm hopefully trying my best to indicate that. Translucent fabric is hard to paint, but I'm glad I decided to do it with watercolor instead of digitally. I feel like digitally I'll probably make it look a little too stiff. So if you follow me on Instagram, I often post little snippets of paintings. of my paintings, I guess I should say. And I kind of showed how many passes I did for his hair. So I think I did 3 passes, and then I did my 4th pass off screen. Like, I didn't show that portion because it's just me darkening up like his roots and adding kind of like that final line work to his hair. So on the left side of his arm area, I have kind of like the indication that it's kind of translucent. I was trying my best to indicate clothing folds because it was such a flowy, loose fabric. I wanted to make sure that there was enough indication of clothing folds, but I didn't want to have them too dark because it kind of took away from the idea of making it translucent. So now I'm putting in his tank top as exposed. So I mixed that kind of like this cooler black color, and then I'll slowly add a little bit more brown into it just to make it a little bit more warmer, and it kind of helps tie in his hair color a little bit, just because if I added blue it'll look really off, and I didn't want it to be too green or it'll be too matchy with his what is it called, cardigan thing, his really loose cardigan. So after I kind of lay down the base for this black, I like just took a little bit of burnt umber or like the color that I had for his hair, and I started to add that into his tank top, and I think it fits a lot better. It's just a little bit more warmer, which is, I feel like I gravitate towards having warmer paintings compared to cooler paintings. I don't know, I feel like before I definitely love using like purples and blues and making it a lot more cooler and a little bit more like, I don't know, punchy-ish, like really saturated, really cool tones. But now I've really liked warm tones for some reason, and it might be because like even when I start off with painting with watercolors, every time I have this inclination of wanting to put a really light wash of yellow. I don't know why. I've been doing that quite a bit recently. I feel like I need to stop, but for the most part it works out well with what I'm painting. So here's the second pass for the hair, I believe. I'm just darkening up the color a little bit. I am darkening up like near the shine areas just to make the shine areas kind of pop a little bit more. And I don't want these to look too harsh, so I did wet my brush a little bit again after cleaning it and kind of just feathering this out just to make it look a little softer. And my favorite part is the right side of the hair, most definitely, because I'll be adding a little bit of purple. I add a tad bit of green into the hair just to add a little bit of variation, and it kind of helps to make the things look darker. So as you can see, I'm adding like darker color underneath where the highlights are. It kind of makes it pop, makes it a little bit more, how to explain it? Like it looks like it's curving a little bit more, like curving downwards. So that's what I usually like to do for hair anyways, especially if they have like a really strong highlight. And yeah, so I'm slowly building up that kind of brownish red color that his hair actually is. I remember before, like even just like a couple of months ago, I would always add a base color for the hair that was just straight up their hair color, and then I would just keep making it darker and darker. I never really thought about adding other colors in terms of like layering up and making it darker. Like I know that I want his left side of his hair to be touched by the yellow, and it's gonna be a little bit brighter, so like I could just add a layer of yellow first and then slowly build upwards instead of like continuously building it really dark and hopefully just trying to like make it look more lighter and a little bit yellowier by adding other colors. I don't know, it just like my mindset of watercolor has changed a little bit the more I paint. Like every painting that I do something a little bit different, or I plan to do something a little bit different. It's a good way to learn, as well as like keeping your brain active and trying to try new things and not being stuck in a bubble, because I feel like that's part of the reason why sometimes I take breaks from doing watercolor, because I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again and I don't like the end result. And the reason why I probably don't like the end result is probably because I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I know that's the reason why it's not changing. Okay, so I think this is where the lighting is gonna stay pretty consistent. I'm pretty sure this is the artificial light, so you guys don't have to get a headache from watching the light kind of change back and forth. I did my best to try to cut out as much as that as possible, but there were some areas that I was kind of painting, so I didn't notice that the light was changing, and I didn't want to cut it abruptly, so yeah. So here you can see I'm slowly transitioning kind of like that light brown into kind of a red, and then I'm slowly adding kind of like this dark reddish purple back into the hair and kind of letting this bleed into each other because this wet wash is still very much wet. Why did I say it like that? The wash is still like actively wet, so it's like I am able to bleed the colors in with each other and be able to move it around so I can get a little bit more seamless different, I can't speak, seamless colors because it's blending out really nicely because it's blending and bleeding into each other. So yeah, I apologize. If anyone's trying to learn from my videos, I apologize because this, like, I'm speaking nonsense at this point. I don't know. So yeah, I think this is the reason why I think I did more than, like, I did 4 passes. I might have done 4 passes because technically this is the second pass on the right side of his hair, so I believe I have to do 1 more pass because there is no indication of like strands of hair. It's just more of a giant chunk of color, which isn't bad. I still really like it, and I think I'm improving in terms of painting hair, so that's a plus. Yeah, I actually really like what's going on in the bottom middle-ish section of his like shirt sleeve cardigan thing. It looks really cool because I have no indication of where it stops and starts in terms of the fabric. As you can see, you probably saw me take out my hairdryer, so I'm just really trying to dry things quickly so I can continuously work. I am now adding the detail in his eyes. I'm really liking kind of like this hollow pupil thing. Sometimes when I do a dark pupil in the middle of their eyes, it just looks too jarring. So I'm kind of liking this kind of just indication of a circle for their pupil. It's a dark color. It just looks a little bit more, I don't know, their eyes just look a little bit more inviting. I feel like it's just too harsh when I do like a really dark pupil. Maybe because I draw the pupil too large, who knows. So usually when I start gradually adding more and more of the like other colors in the composition or in the piece, I usually have to go back and darken things, especially like in the skin. As you can see, I'm making his shoulders a little bit more orangey just to have an indication that there is skin underneath the fabric and it's not just like this weird yellowy color that might be the fabric itself. So I'm kind of putting this peach color back into his skin just to make it look more skin-like, and I added more of a dark purpley blue under his neck just because I realized it was too light compared to adding like the hair as well as the dark green in his outfit. It just looked too light, so I had to darken it up. So this is technically pass number 3 for his hair, and I'm just darkening up some shadows. I am feathering out a little bit next to his the highlights, I guess, next to, like, not next to, the highlights on the right side. My brain is completely scattered and my throat just feels bad. I keep pausing and taking a drink of water as much as possible because I don't think I've talked this much in a while, so in terms of videos for Saturday, so this should be going up on Wednesday, I believe. So Saturday hopefully will be Child. I think I'm redoing a piece of Child because the first one I recorded I don't really like, and I just feel like I wasn't into drawing him for some reason. I like Child a lot. Him as a character, his design, everything about him I really like, except for the fact that he didn't come home, but that's okay. I need my pity for Zhongli. It's okay. And then next week will be more digital stuff, I believe. Zhongli will probably be next week as well because I like to pair up my Genshin Impact videos at least. So it'll probably be Child and Zhongli for the next iPad videos, maybe. We'll see. I want to do more painting videos, hopefully. I've low-key abandoned the 2 series that I said I wanted to do just because The Mingyu one I had to scrap. I was trying to do 97 line, but maybe I'll return back to doing Mingyu again. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to find other flowers that might match him. I might just repaint the one that I originally had, but we'll see, because I might change it again. I just have a hard time painting Mingyu. He's like one of the members that I find I don't know how to define his features as clearly as some of the other members. So like other than, you know, giving him a fang or something. I like derpifying him though. I always do like tiny little dot eyes and like a fang with a cute smile. That's it. It's Mingyu. Yeah, and then the other one was Masaki. I'll get back into doing that. I feel like I just abandoned studying flowers for a little bit. Which might be the reason why that both of those kind of just stopped. I just haven't been researching or collecting flower references and stuff. I'll get back to it soon, but I'm having fun just painting these one-off paintings. And yeah, I really like the large format recently. I actually just recently cut more paper that is about tabloid size or 11 by 17, so hopefully there will be more larger paintings, and hopefully I can keep this kind of like painting high going. So I probably shouldn't call it that, but it's okay. I just want to keep this going. I really do enjoy painting. I think it's fun. Just like recently I've been wanting to paint more. I feel like the last few weeks I've just struggled to paint, so this is kind of like a confidence booster. I feel like my mood just changes depending on the piece I'm doing, because like the Hey Buddy one was okay and it wasn't my favorite, nor did I have too much fun painting it. I had an okay time painting it, but this one was just like, for me it was more satisfying to paint. And even like rewatching the footage and the speed paint version, it was fun for me to watch this thing come to life, so I'm really happy about it. And yeah, I'm glad a lot of you guys liked it too, on Instagram at least, because a lot of you guys really liked all the greens and the fact that it's Minghao, or the contrast between the brownish red of his hair and the green composition. It's just like, it just looked really nice, so I'm glad you guys really liked it, because I had a lot of fun painting it, so that's always a plus that other people enjoy it. But yeah, I'm just focusing on the other foliage. As you can see, I was trying my best to kind of go from pale green, kind of like a little bit more yellowy, and then kind of mixing a darker bluish green that kind of helps kind of curve and deepen certain parts of the leaves, which is like what I really like to do. I don't think I keep much of this going on when I add into like the next consecutive layers, but for the most part it looks really nice. But yeah, I actually really like painting foliage. Actually, there's like two other videos I do want to do. One is there's a painting I want to redo. It's like this, I'll put up the picture maybe if I have a scanned version. I probably do. It's like Wonu sitting on these leaves, and I think there's like, is it larkspurs? I don't really remember what flowers I put in the background. I might have to pick up my brain a little bit, and as well as like go back into other sketches and stuff and figure out what flowers these were. But he's basically, I think he's collecting stars or something like that. It's very like on brand for me, I feel like in terms of what I like to draw Wonu doing. But I painted this like back in, which era was it? It's the same era as like my watermark, the one that you see in the bottom left hand corner, the one that they did for News Aid, I think, the News Aid video where he's wearing like the pink dress shirt with the white sweater on top with a black tie, black pants, and he has like, I don't know, what era is that? Is that Clap? No, it's director's cut, I think. Is it director's cut? I don't remember which era it is, but it's kind of that outfit. Every time I look at that piece, like his eyes are uneven. It's just like a lot of things that are off, and I feel like I can do it justice now. So maybe we'll paint that. I'll do like a redraw type video for that one. And then another one is that I kind of want to redraw some of my old OCs. I started off that with my persona like a couple of months ago, but I would like to revisit my two favorite OCs from when I was in junior high and high school. And their names are Sayuri and Daiki, I think. So yeah, Sairi is like I don't know how to explain it. She's like a green-haired OC that I kept changing her hair color and stuff. Or not her hair color, her hairstyle, and she's kind of like more drawn to music and singing. I think it's because I had a whole huge Vocaloid phase. I still like Vocaloid music, but like the older stuff, I guess. And then Daiki also had more of a music background just because like he had a treble clef necklace, like a rainbow treble clef necklace. And then I believe my other friend had an OC that had the my terminology and knowledge for music is very, very, very tiny. Is it the bass clef? Don't kill me, but like, you know, the other the other one. But yeah, they kind of had like matching necklaces, and I thought it was very cute, but I don't think she draws him anymore, and I obviously have no I have no connection to music, so I don't know why I have two music OCs, but it's probably the whole Vocaloid thing. I was really into Vocaloid at the time, but now I'm into plants and like all that jazz, so now I have Masaki who's really into plants. But yeah, now I'm using gouache to kind of push and pull out some highlights from his hair, as well as adding kind of little specks of white dots and kind of like dust to the rest of the composition. I sped up the rest of this footage because this is me peeling off the tape, because you guys are gonna see the big reveal that underneath this painting is actually still my sketch, which I find really dumb. Like, I don't know how scatterbrained I was for me to do this, because I've never done this before where I thought I lost my sketch and it's still taped to the back of this watercolor paper. I don't know what's wrong with me, but yeah, here's the finished painting, and I'm gonna flip it over and then you guys can see I have the sketch still taped to the back. So I'm just removing the packaging tape carefully from the back of this piece so I can show you guys what the original sketch actually looked like when I first printed it out, because I had to split it up into two pieces of paper and then tape it where the seam was so that we could have a giant piece of paper. But that was the sketch, and this is the finished piece. And usually I like doing this in the beginning, showing you guys what it looks like from the sketch and the transferred sketch, but let's just show you the sketch and the finished painting. So this is what it looks like. I actually really like this painting like a whole lot. I just like the lighting of it, the foliage in the background. I just think it fits a lot better than the original thing that I was planning to have. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and hearing me ramble for like half an hour, 40 minutes. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!